Yeah. Call of the Night got serious really quick. It's like ramped up to like 1,000 within a split second. I almost was kind of waiting for that punchline to hit, but no, I guess it's getting a little bit serious now. We're going from the realms of goofy vampires to more serious stuff. Now, granted, back when we first met the group of vampires, it kind of felt like Call of the Night was getting a little bit serious. This idea that they were wanting to take down Ko because he knew about their secret. But it always kind of played it off like, no, we'll respect Nazuna's wishes. We'll let you guys, get lovey-dovey and see if you can turn to a vampire. You have a year to work with, so that's fine. But no, I guess it's really just introducing the vampire hunter. That's really what I was expecting. The moment that he ran into this Anko lady, I was like, yeah, she's going to be a vampire hunter. She just has that vampire hunter look to her. She got the long trench coat and all that kind of stuff, the detective look. Kind of assumed that she was going to become a vampire. And then when she said that she was a detective, I was like, yeah, for sure. She's going to be the vampire hunter. Now, how is that going to play out into things? That was the big question mark. But yeah, we've pretty much already seen our first target, but it wasn't somebody that we were connected to, so it's not as impactful. But I think what this episode really established was that Ko's in the wrong. Like, it almost plays Ko as being in the wrong. But yes, the episode opening up with Nazuna being really excited about her new income that's coming in. Being a maid is working out very lucratively. So she's got new furniture, a new bed, and everything. She's super excited about it. But no, it's time to ramp up things. It's time to, now they have all this new equipment, it's time to really ramp things up for their whole cuddling services that they do. So yeah, Ko's walking around. He ends up running into this obvious vampire hunter lady who looks like she's extremely tired, and he kind of offers to her, hey, would you like to come with me? I have some information for you. And she's like immediately thinks that this little boy is hinting on her, which, yes, she plays into, jokes about the fact this boy is literally trying to hit on her. But I don't know. I don't think that, I think she knew who Ko was from the very beginning. I'm in the mindset that she knows who Ko is. She says later on that she's got a bigger catch than she thought she would. I think she kind of planned herself there to talk to Ko. I think she knows something about Nazuna, or at least his connections. Obviously, she could probably see that he has bite marks maybe at some point. It's like nobody questions the fact that he's walking around with these very obvious bite marks. But yeah, I can see her having passed him at some point, seeing that he had bite marks, and sort of been watching him, and at some point he confronted her. But no, it was still funny seeing her kind of tease him. Like, oh yeah, you gotta be careful when you talk like that. Having a younger boy talking to a woman like me, it's kind of exciting. And he's like, no, I'm here to talk about a cuddling service. Oh, so you just want to get straight to that? All right. No, that's not what I mean. It's this Nazuna. She's a lady, so it's completely not shady in any way. But now this is where we get into talking about what her job is, which is to be a detective. She, looks in people she investigates infidelity, she investigates from personal issues, and additionally missing people. Which, yes, as we would all know, it kind of lines up with the whole vampire situation. And she says that she has a particular target currently, which she puts out a photograph of Akiyama. Now, the thing that I thought, I'm still stuck on Mahiru. I totally thought she was going to pull out a picture and it was going to be Mahiru. But because we haven't seen him in a while, ever since we had that whole scene with him walking away with this, what I'm thinking is a vampire, they haven't really had any mention of Mahiru. Well, thankfully this episode we did, but no, apparently her target is Akiyama. And of course, Ko knows who he is, immediately catches his hesitation. She knows that Ko knows something. And true to the idea of her being a vampire hunter, she obviously is going to run into vampires, and obviously Akiyama is connected to Seti, which is going to somehow lead to Seti. So this episode got dark, especially with the guy attacking Akira. It was kind of a little bit unsettling. At the same time, it does lead itself into, here's a character that obviously knows what she's doing, and she's going to be hunting down these vampires. Now, I have questions for that stuff later on. I'll be curious exactly how that's going to play out. But following the scene, we have this fun little get-together with Ko, Mahiru, and Akira, which, yes, like I said before, the moment I seen Mahiru, I was like, oh, yay, so he's not dead. He's not a vampire yet, or at least we don't know yet, but it doesn't seem like he's gone, at least. He's not in danger at this point. So, and yes, it does kind of scare me at this point, having such a dark ending to the episode, and then what I'm predicting is what's going on with Mahiru and this other girl, which I think is a vampire, to have this brief moment where Ko and Akira and Mahiru are coming together to have a memory. They're creating a memory, and that's always a big flag for what's to come. I think it does technically play into a lot of the storytelling they're doing with Ko, with the idea of him reintroducing himself to his friends, these people that he didn't know were his friends, but they were actually his friends, and them getting together and going and having memories together is technically that continued development of that rediscovery. But at the same time, for most stories, this is a flag. This is an absolute flag. Have one more fun moment with Mahuru before everything starts hitting the fan. But yeah, his whole plan was to go to the school after dark and start running around and looking at all the mysteries of the school. Hanako-kun, all that kind of stuff. I love him scaring Akira by respawning as Hanako-kun. That was great. But yeah, eventually talking about one last mystery, which is the disappearance of a teacher 10 years prior. This last mystery that apparently they have at the school, and so apparently he shows up at night, so they decide to go check the school, the classrooms, and yeah, they open a door, and there's somebody standing in the middle of the classroom, and he's like, "What are you doing here? You weren't supposed to be here." And I'm like, oh crap, it's gonna be one of those things where it like plays out that this is like some dangerous person, but then like the lights turn on and it's the principal, and he's like, "Yeah, I was cleaning after dark because some kid messed up this desk." Nope. This dude is straight up a vampire. Straight up charges right after Akira, says that he's been waiting off for this whole time and he can't anymore. He's at his breaking point. "I'm gonna take this girl." Jumps onto Akira. Ko knows like this is a vampire. Like he doesn't know why, but he just senses this is a vampire. Again, that was kind of the point where I was like, well, I hope it ends up being a vampire, not a joke, because it's literally laying it out as if Ko at this point can sense vampires. I'm starting to get a sense at this point that Ko is being affected by the bites that he's getting from Nazuna. It kind of went out of its way to show Akira be a little bit shocked by how quickly he ran forward and jumped over the school gates. He was fast as hell. Like, this is not normal human speed fast, unless it's just trying to make it very dramatic that he now is athletic, and she's shocked by the fact that he's now athletic. But it sort of indicates that he was moving faster than normal, and he did something over the top. But additionally here, him being able to sense that this was a vampire could be that blood in his system. Or it could just be the fact that he hangs out with vampires so often that he's getting a sense for how they act or an aura about them. But yeah, he eventually knocks Soge over with a chair, knocks him off. And then yes, Anko Uguisu shows up. I'm going to say Anko from now on because Uguisu for some reason is really hard for me to say. But yes, Anko shows up and she pretty much lays it out. Yeah, this is the teacher from 10 years ago. He apparently got deceived by this woman. He fell in love with her. He didn't know that what a vampire was. She turned him into a vampire, and he's basically been fighting off his urges for blood for 10 whole years. And then apparently this night, this day, was his breaking point. It was their fault for being here. They shouldn't have been here. This was his breaking point moment, and he can't hold back anymore. And she's there to basically set him free. So he's like asking for blood, and she's like, "Oh, here you go." And then he goes and he jumps on her and starts sucking her blood and then spits it out and says it's disgusting. And she's like, "Yeah, you haven't been eating properly. Apparently, if they don't drink blood properly, it's disgusting to them." So it seems as if him holding it off for this long has affected his taste for the blood, even though he's always craved it. And this we have this really kind of unsettling, but also kind of emotional moment with her really telling this guy, "Poor you," basically. It's sad. It's sad that you were deceived. This vampire deceived you. They changed you. You don't even know what you were. You don't even know what the concept of a vampire is. He's like, "Yes, she fooled me. She tricked me, she changed me." And then she hands him a ring. Now, I don't know if this ring is just a generic thing that she uses in order to break the powers of the vampire. He's shocked by it. He seems to know what it is, unless it's more the idea that its effect on him immediately he knew because he felt his immortality leaving, basically. Or if this ring somehow is specific to him. She said something to the effect that she wasn't really expecting to see him here, but it could have been Ko that she wasn't expecting to be here. She could have been coming here specifically to find this teacher, and that ring, again, is somehow linked to his situation. So that might be a thing we'll have to figure out later, because she does mention at some point, yes, I'm a detective, I look for missing people, and at some point, yes, I discovered there's vampires because a lot of people go missing because of vampires. So it was inevitability. So I had to figure out some way to counter the vampires, and it was really difficult to figure it out, and then she gets cut off at that point, but the assumption is there she figured something out, and I think the ring might be tied to it. Again, the ring might be specific to his situation, or it might just be a generic thing that she uses to break the powers, because he wants to let go of it, and she said, "Don't let go of it. Let yourself die as a human, basically. Keep your humanity. Remember what it's like to be human before the sun rises and he turns to ashes." So again, we kind of established at this point, it seems as if the sunlight does affect vampires. I was kind of thinking that Nazuna wasn't affected before. It might just because tinting on a window, or maybe if you have so much power, you don't have to worry about it. Or the sunlight only affects offspring. This guy would be specifically an offspring. But yeah, following this, we have a little bit of conflict in what people believe should happen. Obviously, Anko is seeking out to take down vampires because she feels as if the people that are affected by the vampires, the offspring, are tricked by them and had their humanity stolen from them. And so they deserve to be put to rest. Whereas, obviously, Ko sees things from a different perspective. He sees Nazuna, he sees fun, he sees freedom, all the good things about vampires. So we have a little conflict here. Anko specifically says vampires come in all kinds, and that he shouldn't be deceived by this, basically. There is bad vampires out there. I think one of the better Rude Awakening moments was when Ko said, well, why wouldn't he be drinking blood this whole time? And Anko's like, you should really think before you talk. Who would want to be a vampire? You see, again, that's that Rude Awakening of, like, you have this fantastical thought process of how great it is to be a vampire, but it's not a good thing. This is normally seen as a bad thing. It'll be interesting to both see what Anko's perspective is on vampires, what horrible things she sees. Obviously, this guy's an example of a bad vampire because this guy seemingly has humanity ripped from him. He was tricked and discarded. The big question mark that I have at this point is, does she only seek out to take down offspring? Because if she's looking for missing people, she's obviously finding offspring. People that go missing because they were bit by a vampire, they became a vampire, and then they left society. So is her goal to just take down offspring and free them? Or is her end game to actually go and find those vampires that actually create the offspring? So in the case if she's looking for Akiyama, will she want to take down Seri as well, or does she only want to free Akiyama? And will we have our first cast character that's going to get taken out be Akiyama? Or, like I said, Mahiru. It'll be interesting because we have 2 more episodes left, and I'm really curious if we're going to have a big ramp-up point of this vampire hunter affecting somebody in the main cast. I don't think it's Nazuna. Nazuna might come in to help, but I really do think it's going to probably be Seri and Akiyama. But again, I'm still wondering if it's going to be Mahiru, because we just had this nice build-up memories of friends moment with Mahiru. He could end up getting bit by this other girl, this vampire, and then Mahiru would be the target of Anko. Either way, I'm already dreading the fact that we only have 2 more episodes, and it's gonna be a real hard one not to avoid the manga. I'm just glad that Akira didn't get hurt. The moment that guy jumped on Akira, I was like, no, not Akira, don't harm Akira. Which does technically make me wonder exactly what the hierarchy system is in this world. Is essentially Nazuna, Seri, Kabura, Midori, all the girls that were at that one grouping, are they all vampires? And then technically people like Akiyama and say this teacher was an offspring? Or is Nazuna an offspring of, say, Seri? Just for example, is it always the hierarchy of vampire offspring, or are all vampires offspring of somebody else? I guess is the question mark. But anyways, my thoughts on episode 11 of Call the Night. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. Greatly appreciate everybody that considers, and y'all take care.